Hello there, Nature Nurture. It is good to see you all. Happy Monday. I hope you all are enjoying your Monday. You've had a good weekend. You're looking forward to celebrating with your mom or mother figure on Mother's Day coming up here soon. Our next unit is talking about psychoactive drugs in the brain. So, in our textbook, consciousness, dreams, drugs are all connected. So, we're going to touch on sleep, and then we're also going to, right here, touch on drugs. So, really quickly, I just want to introduce a concept that should be somewhat familiar to you, but if it is not, we'll have to work on that. Okay, so thinking overall what our big question is, we want to think about how do drugs and other chemicals affect neurotransmission? So that is the question that hopefully you are able to answer by the end of this video. So by the end of this lesson, you should understand how drugs compete with neurotransmitters, the difference between agonists and antagonists, and how drugs act at the synaptic level. Okay, so if you remember neurotransmitters, so we watched that little video in class of like little neurotransmitter, they kind of like little beans of hands. These are naturally produced chemicals and they facilitate a wide range of functions like memory, movement, hunger, and sleep. Think about acetylcholine, think about GABA, think about dopamine, serotonin, right? Those are our neurotransmitters. They travel through our, this is blank is there for you to answer because I know you're going to say nervous system. And if you remember, a rush of dopamine can cause a feeling of happiness, whereas melatonin can cause you to get sleepy. And you all should be experts on sleep by now. So this little picture I think is fun at the bottom of a neuron, receiving the message and delivering the message as well. So there's this idea of, if you think about, I just want to feel good, okay? If you know that certain neurotransmitters can induce happiness and reduce pain, why wouldn't we just artificially make it and flood our brains with it, right? The problem with that is that when your brain is flooded with drugs like heroin or morphine, your brain actually may stop producing its own natural opiates. Okay? And opiates are pain-killing, feel-good neurotransmitters. So by you putting your own in there, your brain actually can stop producing the ones that you need to function. Okay, and so when you take the drug away, your brain still isn't producing that natural opiate that it was. So that can leave you feeling really intense discomfort, pain. Okay, so ultimately, by suppressing our natural neurotransmitters, we're paying quite a big price to nature. Okay, so meet me at the synapse. It's going down. If you know what song I'm referring to, you should email me and let me know because that'd be awesome if you do. I don't know about bonus points, but we'll see. Nonetheless, remember at the synaptic level, that is where our neurons are communicating. Okay? And drugs do one of two things. They affect our brain by either exciting or inhibiting neurons firing. And remember, excitatory, GABA was an excitatory or inhibitory neurotransmitter, so it was calming us down, stopping. Whereas glutamate was an excitatory. We talked about how glutamate and too much of it, what that can cause. So if you think about those neurotransmitters, right, drugs do similar things. They inhibit or they excite. Drugs also have a different molecular makeup. Okay, each type of drug has their own molecular makeup, and that causes them to act different once they're inside of your brain. So we have agonists and we have antagonists. All right, so I'm going to try to draw on this. If it doesn't work, I'm going to quickly grab a white. Actually, I'm just going to grab a whiteboard because this didn't work earlier, and I do not want to have that issue. So, that whiteboard is on. Hold tight. Okay, here's a blank. So let me make myself bigger. There I am, and you can see that. Okay, not that. Well, that's too big. Let's tilt this here. Y'all can go through this with me. Okay, so an agonist. Let me minimize myself really quick. An agonist is a drug that is similar enough to a neurotransmitter that they can bind to its receptor and copy its effects. So it looks like, acts like, behaves like that neurotransmitter. So the receptor that is supposed to take in, GABA, it says, oh, hey, look, there's GABA, even though it's not GABA, it's a drug, and it allows it to come in. And some agonists can give you a temporary high by intensifying the normal sensations of arousal or pleasure. So let me try to draw this for you and show you an example. Okay. So we're going to use GABA as our example. That's too small. Now it's smudgy. Okay, let's do the other side. Cup, cup, GABA, receptor, GABA, receptor. Okay. I don't want to do GABA. I changed my mind just that fast. Hold tight. Okay. Let's do dopamine receptors. Dopamine. Okay. So right there we have the two receptors. Dopamine receptor. Okay. This is going to be for regular dopamine. All right. So as it comes in, right, there's normal. So the receptor says, hey, I see dopamine. Come on in. Join me. Okay. On the other side, we have a drug. That. Dot. Hey, it looks like a smiley face. Okay. We have the drug here, and I just put a little dot there so that you know I'm talking about a different thing. But the receptor says, yeah, you look like dopamine. You're similar enough. Come on in. So what it does is when the drug comes in, normal dopamine over here cannot go in. I'm drawing this like sideways. Okay. Normal dopamine can't get in because this drug is blocking it. And so then your brain says, well, I guess I don't have to make it anymore because I'm getting the same feeling and I can't get the stuff in there anyway. So that is one way that we see a drug having a negative impact. So that's what an agonist does. It actually looks and mimics the drug so that it's allowed into your receptor and it has the same effect. Antagonists, let me move my head. These are drugs that are similar enough to a neurotransmitter to bind to the receptor, but the effect is to block a neurotransmitter's functions. So they're not similar enough to stimulate, to like start, to tell it to do, right? Let's say we're thinking of melatonin, okay? If we're thinking of a drug that's an antagonist to it, it's not similar enough to get it to release, but it is similar enough to stop your body from releasing melatonin, which of course becomes problematic. Okay? Also, if you think about Botox, there's a poison called botulin, and botulin sometimes forms in like improperly canned food that can cause paralysis by blocking acetylcholine or ACH. So what they do is they use really small injections of it, which is Botox, and it paralyzes the face muscles underneath the skin, right, to stop or inhibit. Okay, so let me do a drawing for that as well. Okay. So you see that both of these are stopping the normal neurotransmitters from getting there. The difference is our agonists did the same effect as our regular neurotransmitter. But here's what our antagonists are going to do. Okay. So these guys, so this is the normal, right? Goes in, bloop. This drug, and it's blocking this space. So you have all these little guys trying to get in here. I'm trying this so crazy. Trying to get in here, right? It's not working out because it's blocking. And even though it's fitting the spot, it doesn't actually cause your neurotransmitter. It doesn't cause the function to happen, right? Let's say it's sleep. Let's go stick with sleep. The agonist was able to mimic melatonin. So you still have the same effect of getting sleepy. The antagonist stops melatonin from getting in, and it also cannot replicate melatonin. So in this case, you're not getting the desired result. That is a bad thing, right? So hopefully you understood the difference between antagonists and agonists. So overall, in conclusion, drugs mimic neurotransmitters. Okay, that is what they are doing. And they can cause our brain to stop producing them naturally, so that when we don't use the drug anymore, we're still not producing. An agonist strongly resembles a neurotransmitter and it copies what it normally does. An antagonist is similar enough to a neurotransmitter to fit the receptor, but it blocks any action because it can't stimulate the receptor. So the agonist stimulates the receptor so something happens. The antagonist cannot stimulate it, so it just blocks anything from happening. So that's our basic intro understanding on how drugs impact your brain. We're going to go deeper into this as we go throughout this week, but I wanted to give you that soft intro so that you have that basic understanding of what happens at the synaptic level.